I just made $120,000 in 14 days using a secret 5-step process to hack the markets. So if you want to learn exactly how you can make this 5-step process work for you, I suggest you hit that like button and keep watching, because we're about to get into the lab and show you exactly how it's done. What's up, wolves? Welcome to the lab. First and foremost, I want to give you guys something. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway. First prize is going to be 6 months access to the Discord trade alerts room, where I'm giving you all my buys and sells, weekly video analysis, as well as everything that I'm watching. Second prize is going to be a $25,000 Hydra funding challenge account where you can trade crypto, Forex, and stocks, index futures, CFDs, gold, commodities, everything under the sun, all at one platform. This is a huge benefit because most people, in fact, 75% of traders have accounts under $25,000. This is going to give you a funded $25,000 challenge account to potentially get access to if you pass the challenge. We also have options up to 1 million, but we're going to give you a free $25,000. There's going to be a link in the description of this video. So after you're done watching this video, click the link in the description. It's a free entry to win. All right, guys, so let's just take a look at the data here, right? Since February 7th to February 21st, the last 14 days, I made a $120,000, mostly trading these 3 coins: Ando, XAI, AI, Bitcoin, and I lost on 1,000 rats. Okay, 14 longs, 3 shorts, win rate 65%, average duration 1 day, 21 hours, P&L on the long side 136,000, and I lost $16,000 going short. So let's take a look at the 5-step process that I was talking about to identify exactly how I was able to do this in a short period of time. Now, you also have to understand that we're going to talk about also in this is that market goes in cycles. And so you can't keep using the same strategy over and over again. And this is where everyone fucks up, is they use the same strategy, then the markets shift, and then they go back and lose everything that they just gained in a short amount of time. So the first thing that we need to do in step 1 is just identify the macro trend. This is going to give us the ability to decide which side of the markets are we going to be on for the next upcoming trades within this cycle. So it's very easy to do this. You can use a moving average. I use something called Degener, which is a custom indicator moving average that I created. But all that you have to do is pick some sort of moving average and identify, is price trending up and is price above that trend? That would be a bull trend. That would mean the macro trend is bull. And what we're going to look at is something like Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin is the leader of this. We can also look at various things for whatever market you're actually trading. I have a top-down watch list on my trading view, and I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, the US dollar, Japanese dollar, European dollar, gold, US 30, NASDAQ 100, and S&P 500, right? These are the top-down view of the macro trends that we can identify so that we can look at smaller, more micro-cap assets within those industries to actually trade, because those trade with more momentum and allow us to make bigger profits in a shorter amount of time. So that's what we need to do as step 1. Is price trending above moving averages, or is price trending below moving averages? If it's above, we should be long, looking for long positions. If it's below, we can potentially be looking for short positions, or even just sideline, waiting for things to reverse back up, because shorting and going long in a bear market is much more difficult. It is not impossible. I made $500K in the 2022 bear market after making 1.7 million in the 2020-21 bull market. So it's very possible, but obviously it's a lot easier for people to make quick, fast money when we are in a Bitcoin, US stock market long condition. And right now, that's what we're in. And we can identify that simply by looking, one, at the weekly chart of Bitcoin, looking at Degener trend. We can see we're clearly above Degener trend. And so we are definitely bullish on the longer term time frame. If we look at the daily chart, it's a little bit less clear, but we can see as of late, we have been in a very bullish trend ever since basically October of 2023. Now we flipped bearish briefly for a little bit, which was a little bit more concerning, especially after we peaked out at 50K, but we quickly reversed and broke out above this level, which was a key level about 43.9. And then we just went on an epic bender. And this is when I started getting heavily long after we broke out right here. That was the beginning of this $120,000 14-day period of making huge gains. So that would be step 1, guys, is just identifying what is that trend, right? We were above the moving averages after we broke out there. So that was potentially looking like we're going to go retest these potential highs of 50K and even beyond. That's exactly what happened. Step number 2, guys, is identifying what is the hype theme. And obviously what we've been seeing a lot of lately is AI. When it's in the US stock market sector, we've seen NVIDIA and another one, SMCI, who actually sells products to NVIDIA, go on insanely epic runs. And in the stock market, Nvidia has been what's basically holding up the entire NASDAQ 100. Earnings are about to be released probably in the next like 6 hours. So we'll see if that's going to be the shift for US stocks. But also in crypto, which is where I mostly made a lot of the money in the last 2 weeks, there's a lot of micro cap and small cap coins that went on big runs. Basically, the entire AI sector went on a run. So I actually created a watch list of only AI coins just so I could see which ones are actually in a potential setup that I can take advantage of. I don't give a shit what any of these companies do. Is if they're in the right patterns and they're in the hype sector, a lot of them are going to run and you can take advantage of it. Step 3, guys, is identifying patterns we know. And if we're in a full bull or at least a short-term bull, the easiest pattern to make quick money on, that's the most recognizable, and I can't say that it's super reliable because there's nothing reliable in trading. What I will say is that these patterns create some of the most explosive moves. And it's essentially just triangle breakout patterns where you see a flat top and an ascending trend, compression towards the nose, and as soon as that rips to the upside, and if we're in full bull on the macro, we see huge gains, okay? And this doesn't matter which asset you're trading. You can see, even when we look at NVIDIA, what did NVIDIA do? It created a flat top triangle breakout. And this was the beginning of the huge run for NVIDIA that just recently happened, okay? If we look at SMCI, the one that went from freaking 350 all the way up to almost 1100 in a short amount of time, created a flat top triangle breakout. Boom, huge rip to the upside. So these patterns can happen across basically all asset classes, and it's a quick way to make easy money. Now, it's obviously easy to look at this in hindsight and be like, oh, wow, that could have been easy. I'll just do it the next time it comes around. Unfortunately, trading isn't that easy, and there's a lot more intricacies and uncertainty in the heat of the moment while you're trading. But in crypto, we see a lot of these patterns also, such as these were the top gains that I had: Ando, XAI, AI, and Bitcoin. And all 3 of these were essentially in the same exact breakout pattern. Now, I did have some losers such as 1000 Rats, and another one was Big Time, which were in similar patterns that did absolutely nothing, and I eventually sold for loss. But 3 of them just absolutely exploded. You can see, obviously, XAI, AI, USDT, all of these turned out to be huge gainers simply by trading the triangle breakout pattern, and they were within the hype sector of AI. $49,000 on Ando, $38,000 on XAI, and $28,000 on AI. Now, in step number 4, guys, we have to set up the trade plan and how much risk are we actually going to put on any one of these trades. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys are probably just flying blind, and you're like, all right, everyone's talking about these freaking AI coins. Maybe I'll buy one. Maybe I'll buy NVIDIA. And you have zero clue what you're doing. You have no idea how much of your portfolio you should be getting into this actual asset. You have no idea why you're buying at the level you're buying at. You have no idea where you're going to put your stop, and you have no idea when you're going to sell. If you can't answer every one of those questions, which are 4 questions: where am I going to buy? Where am I going to put my stop loss? Where am I going to put my take profit? How much am I going to risk? You have to be able to answer all 4 of those questions before you ever enter any sort of trade. And this is where most people get it all wrong in trading, because they don't answer all those questions. And even if they do answer those questions, a lot of time they'll change the plan later because fear and greed overcome their emotional side and their lack of discipline, and then they screw it all up. So that is what you have to do for every trade that you enter: is where am I going to buy? And more importantly, why the fuck am I buying there? Okay, most people don't know why they're buying. They always ask me, hey Cam, is it still a good time to buy? God damn it, if I had a penny for every time I was asked that question, I would be very, very wealthy, okay? You should know where to buy, okay? And it's obviously a little bit difficult, but it comes with experience, and it comes with understanding price action, that you will eventually learn why you're actually buying there, because you understand the concepts of trading. The next thing you have to ask is, where am I going to get out of this and finally lock in my gain? Because guess what? Unrealized profits do not mean shit. I see so many people sharing screenshots of an asset that they haven't sold yet, but they're showing how much they're up on it right now. Guess what? They go quiet eventually because they always give it all back and they never locked in any profits. You have to be locking in that cha-ching, ching, ching. Okay? Most importantly, what is the stop level? This is the most important. Who fucking cares about how much money you're going to make? Everyone gets caught in the fantasy of how much money they're going to make and don't think about, okay, what if this actually goes wrong? Am I going to be okay? That is the biggest thing that you have to focus on is defense, okay? Play big defense. That is all that matters, okay? And then once you have all those answers to the question, this is the icing on the cake is how much are you going to risk? And I never risk more than 2% on any trade. And it's typically even sometimes only 0.25% on a trade, okay? And all this means is if you have like 100K in your account, which probably most of you don't, but you can get up to 100K in funding at Hydra Funding, 0.25%, that's just $250, okay? So sometimes I might only be taking that much risk, and this is 0.25%, okay? Not 0.25 as in 25%, okay? So 0.25 to 2% max on any trade that I actually make. And this is where everyone screws it up. They go like 20% risk per trade. And if they lose 20% on that trade and then do it again on the next trade, they just lost nearly half their account. And now they have to double their account, 100% gain to make it all back, which is not going to happen. That's the snowball effect of them blowing up everything. Okay, so you have to be able to set up that risk plan. The next thing we got to identify, guys, is identify the macro supply and demand for overall exit plan. All right, we need to know where is this asset potentially going to be topping out on a macro level, right? Because if all of a sudden we have some sort of big run, say on Bitcoin, like we just had, if it's now at a huge resistance level from a past area, we have to shift. Because what if this is the end, right? We just had a massive run here. If the market shift and come back down to the next area of demand, boom, we could see a big sell-off in that level. In that nice, easy breakout pattern that you were trading before, guess what? It's not going to fucking work anymore. And that is where most people screw up, is they don't shift with the markets and they don't have an exit plan or an exit strategy to get out of all these positions. Now, I just made 120K in about 2 weeks. That strategy that I just used is probably coming to an end. Now, I can't call the top perfectly. There's probably going to be some more opportunities that happen in the next week or two, but it's very likely that I'll miss them. But it doesn't matter, because if I get too much greed and continue to try to use the same strategy as we continue to spike up, maybe even a little more, eventually there is that pullback. And if you get caught with your pants down, you could lose everything that you just worked so hard for. So you got to understand that after we see these big runs like we just had here on Bitcoin, eventually there is going to be a pullback into some sort of baseline or support level. And the strategies that you were just using during this run are going to stop working. But most people don't take profits on the way up, and they eventually continue to just load up thinking it's never going to stop, and then eventually give everything back. All right, guys, so let's just look at some of these trades and kind of go over the logic that I was looking at when I was planning out the process of these trades, why I alerted them to my group in the Discord channel with the Wolfpack, and how much money did I make, and why did I make $50,000 on Ando, okay? So let's just take a look at the actual chart of Ando, and we can see on the chart, what was this? This was just a flat top triangle breakout pattern. And this is even a more secret pattern that I talk about in my Krypton trading course called the Kryptonite. I'm not gonna reveal exactly why it's so secret and why it's so powerful in this video. That's gonna be a little bit more secret, juicy stuff behind the scenes. But this is a pattern that I love to trade, and this is where I make the most money. We can even look at my Discord channel from back here on the 14th, and you can see me actually getting long in this position. Account risk on stop out 1%, getting in at 2.25, stop at 0.23-ish. My target range is a sell grid up to 31 cents, which is basically me just getting in on this actual breakout here. I'm gonna be planning on selling from here all the way up into 31 cents into that resistance level. So me getting in, I have all those bases covered. Where am I getting in? Because we're actually breaking out above this level. We're breaking out above this high. I'm going to have a stop level at a certain level, and I'm only risking 1%. So that answer is question. Where am I going to get out? Well, I'm going to get out in a grid, a bunch of different orders all the way up to the next resistance level. Now, I can obviously reevaluate this later, because if this breaks out above this level, that's going to be another formation that I can trade. But the most important thing for me to do is to answer those 4 questions. Get in, why? Where am I putting my stop loss? Where am I putting my sell? Where am I putting my take profit? And how much am I gonna risk, right? Those all questions are answered. I was able to get in here, block in gains the entire way up, and eventually get out of the entire position. And then it came all the way back down, even below my entry price, where I probably would have got stopped out. This is why I also lock in gains at all times on the way up, because I don't know what's going to happen. I cannot predict the future. I cannot predict if this is going to break out. I could never predict that this was actually going to rip to the upside. All that matters is that I have to play defense and ensure that if I have gains in my pocket that are potential, I need to be locking in and moving my stops up and along the way. So when we look at this actual profit here on Ando of $49,000, okay, this was actually multiple trades on this same asset. We can see if we look at an intraday chart, a little bit more intricacies. So you can actually see here on the chart, my entries and exits, right? My first entry, for some reason, it's not showing my entry down here at 0.25, but you can see me locking in gains as it got up to 31, which was the actual exit price. We then also got back in down here as it started breaking out above this level again, as well as Bitcoin was continuing to look very bullish on the intraday charts as well. And I got back in here again. But what I do, sold the entire way up, because I have no idea what's going to happen, if it's going to continue going, if it's going to dump. All I can do is ensure that I'm locking in gains along the entire way. So you can see I actually got long again right here, sold, and then I actually stopped out again right down here just to ensure gains, because at that point, Ethereum was peaking out at 3K, which was an area for me to be like, okay, this is a macro psychological top for Ethereum. And I said in the Discord group before, I said, hey guys, all these coins that we're looking at right now, we probably have about until 3K on Ethereum. And then we probably need to be pulling back risk from all of our positions and maybe just thinking about getting out and walking away until we have more setups. Because right now, everything just went on a big run. Okay. And we have to understand that that macro shift could be happening. And when that macro shift happens after this 2-week cycle that we just had, all these strategies that we were just looking at and making money off of are probably going to stop working. And we have to get out before the next shift happens. What's going to happen here right now? I don't know. We're peaking out at 3,000, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start pulling back on Ethereum, maybe even to 2720. And if that happens, all the altcoins are going to take a huge shit and everyone's going to give back a lot of their gains because they didn't lock any in. The next trade to look at here, guys, is AI, which I made $28,000 on. And if we can look at the actual alert that I sent out in the Wolfpack group, long AI, 2%. I was a little bit more confident in this one. Entry 143, stop at 130. I want to sell grid up to $2.20. So obviously, answering the 4 questions that I must answer before I enter any trade. If we look at the actual pattern, what is it? It's a kryptonite breakout pattern, flat top triangle breakout in the middle of a bull market. This is a very powerful trade to be had, and obviously it turned out in my favor quite well. And if we look at the actual chart of AI now, what happened, it got almost up to $2 per coin, $1.98. Now I didn't take full advantage of this because it was actually quite volatile, but I locked in gains on the way up. And I believe I actually went in for a secondary trade on this. Let's just take a look at the chart for AI, but no, I didn't take a secondary trade. You can see me getting in here, here, and here. And then as soon as this broke out above these highs, this is when on an epic bender all the way up. And again, I was selling every step of the way because I have zero clue what the hell is going to happen. And obviously this came all the way back down to my buy prices. So I almost gave up, $28,000 in profits right after I was up there, but I locked in my gains. Obviously this came back down to support level and ripped all the way back up. But again, it came all the way back down almost to my buy price. So the volatility in crypto or in any small cap asset can be quite extreme. So if you're not locking in profits and you're seeing 30K profit, 0, 40K profit, 0, 20K profit, 0, you are going to have a fucking heart attack. It is the most stressful thing. The most easy way to do this is lock in gains as they come. That is the only reason why traders don't make money. A lot of traders are in profits all the time. They just never lock in any gains. And the next thing you know, it's back to break even. And I have a panic attack, sell down here, then it fucking rips. They have another panic attack and buy up here because then they FOMO chase and then it dumps again and they stop out and they just gave up and lost like $50,000 because they never locked in gains the first time. Okay, so it's extremely important that you're locking in gains every step of the way. Let's also take a look at XAI, guys, because this was another huge trade, $38,000 profit. We can go back up here, I believe, to XAI, also risking 2%, entry at 90, stop at 80, target in the 130s. We can see the actual chart at that time. This is a flat top triangle breakout. This one that I call a survival pattern, which is a triangle breakout within a larger triangle breakout. Target up to 130. The breakout trigger was we were in pre-breakout above the $90 level, looking for that quick spike to the upside, answering the 4 questions. Where am I entering and why? Where's my stop? How much am I going to risk? 2%. Let's take a look at the actual chart here. After making $38,000 on this trade, you can see exactly what happened here. Getting long, locking in gains every step of the way, getting long again prior to getting up to this level, then exit, 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 exit. And this was my final stop. I had actually had a trailing stop in place that was initially down here at 80. And then I put a trailing stop after going to sleep right about here. All my grid cells ordered went in, and then my trailing stop eventually got moved up to here. Again, stopped out right there on that last one, and then one less more spike to the upside. Now, if we look at the actual daily chart on this, this is actually still looking very, very bullish, and it could easily see a lot more upside. The problem is here, guys, we have to be looking at step number 5, is identifying when is price at a resistance level and when can the macro trend potentially shift, which is going to be the end of all of these small cap moves. Now, I'm not 100% that's going to happen, but it is something that I have to factor in, because if I don't and I continue to try to use the same strategy, if the market does see some sort of shift, that is when you're putting everything on the line, especially when price is at a resistance level. Bitcoin is hovering at 50K. Ethereum is hovering at 3K. These are huge psychological levels that could be the near-term top. So if you're continually trying to buy in these levels after just a mega run, you're putting yourself at so much risk because there's more downside than short-term upside potential at this point in time. So the better thing to do would be waiting for price to come back into a support level and then see if the small cap charts have reset and formed up new patterns that are identifiable to potentially trade. But anyways, guys, huge week, $120,000 in just 2 weeks. Super awesome to see that kind of momentum back in the markets again. But again, follow that 5-step process. Let's just recap that real quick. First, identify the macro trend. 2, identify the hype theme. Is there any sort of theme where the whole entire sector is running? In this case, it was AI. Identify patterns that you know and understand how to trade. In this case, it was the triangle breakout patterns. Step 4, set up the trade plan and risk. Answer those 4 questions. Where's my entry point, and do I have a reason why? What is my exit levels, my stop level? What is my take profit levels? What is my stop levels? And how much am I going to risk on this trade? Definitely no more than 2%. And again, identify in step 5, what is the macro supply and demand level so I can understand if I need to shift or pull back risk once Bitcoin, Ethereum, or US stocks or gold or whatever you're trading is at either a major resistance level or a major support level, so that if I'm trading small caps within that sector, I can begin to pull back risk and start reevaluating the situation so I don't give back all the gains that I just had on this big cycle that we just had. But anyways, guys, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for watching this. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And again, if you want to participate in that contest, 6 months access to the Discord channel or the 25K Hydra funding, there's going to be a link in the description. Anyways, that's a wrap. Just made 120K and feels good. Hope you guys can do something like that in the future. Peace.